Welcome to my September wrap-up. It's not very big. This has been so busy this month, and I barely had time, and when I did, I would start reading something and then just want to go to sleep. But I'm hoping things are tapering off, and I'm hoping that I'm getting better at, in the midst of how busy I am at work, finding time to participate in these readathons and to make videos and so on, because October is the Spookathon month, and I really want to participate in that. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be really ambitious and do something called 31 Days of Horror. It's not going to be all books. It's going to be books mixed with horror films, but we'll just see. Because like I said, I was only able to read 4 this month. But here's my wrap-up. Okay, so for part of the Stephen King 70th birthday bookathon, okay, which was started by Josh over at Literary Gladiators, I didn't feel so bad that I could only read 2 books for this bookathon, because Josh said that he only read 2 books as well, so I didn't feel as bad because I was feeling so guilty. That was from August the 21st, that was from August the 21st all the way through September the 21st. Now, I did read The Jaunt, a short story by King, and I did do a review on that, which I'll link below. I'll also link Literary Gladiators below, too, since I mentioned them, especially Josh, since he's the one that started it. But what I read in September that was from King was Revival, and I really, really liked it. It was really good. I wrote a review on it at Goodreads. I can link you to that as well, so that you can read more about it, because this is just going to be like a brief synopsis of Revival. But it wasn't just a play on Frankenstein. It was also a nod towards Lovecraft. And I don't want to ruin the book for you, but if you read the book and you get all the way through to the end and you see what happens when you can see the life after death or into another dimension, you'll see what I mean when I say it's Lovecraftian, if you've ever read any of Lovecraft before. Okay, and you know what? The end is kind of like bleak. It really frightened me, because when I thought about it, I was like, really? That's what the people in the book had to look forward to? You'll see what I mean if you read this book. It was good. It was very engaging. The characters were like well drawn out. He really has this way of writing that he can get you to care. I was pleased that he didn't write his females in this book as total bitches like he tends to do. He tends to think that strong women are just complete and total bitches, and there were no females that were a bitch in the book. The main character, the person that he is talking about in the book, it's really sad, because the guy, as a young man, really was a nice guy, and he just, over the years, just went completely mental. He was obsessed, and it was really creepy. So I highly recommend it, and I'll link down below my review, which gives a lot more info on Goodreads. So that was the only other King thing I read in the Stephen King 70th birthday bookathon. Okay, now another one that I read, I'll link to the review too, is Allumette. It is a very nice, very sweet, happy ending retelling of The Little Match Girl, and I loved it. It's a children's book, and if you want it, it'll cost you $50 on eBay. I was lucky to get it because I had remembered reading it as a child, and I was interested in reading it again. I highly recommend it, especially if you're having a bad day and you just have no more faith in humanity. You ought to try this book. Like I said, I'll link to the review down below. And that's by Tommy Ungerer. Okay, and then I read Mapping the Interior, which was in one of my Nocturnal Readers boxes. And it was by an author that I have read before and that I enjoyed. We were having a buddy read over on Goodreads in I think it was, I belong to a bunch of groups. Yes, it was not horror aficionados, which I was about to say. It was the literary horror group, and they were having like a buddy read. And I jumped in since I had the book. And I also wrote a review of this on Goodreads, which I can link you to. This one was a novella, and it was about a young man. He told the story, like, you find out about his childhood, and then it leads up to him as an adult. And it's really creepy because his father's ghost is haunting. And the way that it affects the family and the things that happen, and even what becomes of the narrator at the end, and what kind of a person he becomes, and his actions, it's really chilling. This is not one of those books where it's like, right off the bat, you're like, oh my God. I think maybe one scene in the book was like that. Okay, a scene involving dogs. And yes, it was creepy. It was the creep factor. But the real frightening part of mapping the interior is you thinking about it after it's over and done. And that's what was scary. I was really shocked at what happened to a certain family member and how he didn't even really fight it at all. But I do recommend that you read it, and I don't want to spoil it. If you want a lot more info on it, check out my written review on Goodreads, because I did not review this book or Revival on my channel. I did it on Goodreads. And another one that I did on Goodreads, this is the 4th book that I read this month, called How to Successfully Kidnap Strangers by Max Booth III. This one, I don't even know how to explain it. Yet again, I put this on Goodreads, and I will link that below. But let me just say that this was a really wacko book. I did end up enjoying it because I liked the ending. The payoff was what I was hoping for. These people in this book were obnoxious, not very good people, okay? Maybe one of them was good, but even he had a taste in reading material that was a little off. But hey, maybe some people would think that my taste in reading material was off, so I guess I can't judge. He was the closest, this police officer, to being the best humane character. Everybody else was just a dang selfish piece of crap ass. I kid you not. And I was getting so pissed off because I thought, yeah, this writer is going to make them heroes. They're going to be heroes. Nope. And that's what I was happy with. That they get what they deserve in the end. I think that this writer, Max Booth, he was kind of doing a play on what he deals with, being a part of the small press publishers who do what you call bizarro fiction. I hope that this was just a satire. I hope that he really didn't know people like this, because basically this book makes it look like all drug addicts and meth heads and crackheads and people on the fringes of society are part of the bizarro fiction world. And I think that Max Booth, I mean, I could be wrong, but I think he was also lampooning the pretentiousness of some of these bizarro writers in the small presses that try to make books as gross and offensive as possible, and they think that they're this brilliant author, and it's just all, it's pretentiousness. You know, just, can they have the most offensive title that you can have? Like The Ass Trolls of Auschwitz or something like that. And that is a book, believe me. That is a book. For real. I think that he was, you know, making fun of that. But he didn't really make me want to go and read bizarro fiction. Now, Jeremy Robert Johnson is considered a bizarro author, and he's awesome. Okay? He doesn't write books trying to be like as offensive as possible, although it is very weird fiction, but he is a very talented writer. So it wasn't so much that this story was a bizarro story, it just was about people in the bizarro fiction world. And when you get meth heads and crackheads and they're writing and they see a bad review of their book, maybe they're going to do something irrational like these people did. And maybe they're not going to be too bright and they're going to make some really stupid, asinine decisions. And they're going to hurt people that don't deserve to be hurt just because they wrote a bad review. Okay? People are free to like or not like a book. As annoying as it is, maybe the person that's doing the review is a total ignorant douchebag. You know, maybe he has something against you personally. But you don't react in the way these people reacted. And like I said, they get what they deserve at the end. And one of them, it's pretty ironic, he's waiting for his book to be published by a major publisher. He's like the boss of this small press company. And what happens to him is ironic. It's really bittersweet for him. And then what happens to the guy who was kidnapping people, he gets what he deserves too. But they dang well kidnap the wrong person along with everybody else they abduct. And it happens to be a serial killer. So this book was quite interesting. It was, I mean, I'm not going to say it was funny. I thought it was going to be funny when I read the summary. No, it wasn't funny. But it had me on the edge of my seat. Like, I wanted to stay up all night reading it just because I wanted to see bad shit happen to the lead characters who were so mean and nasty. And I mean, that's a real talent. If you could keep me interested and I'm up all night reading because I want to see what happens. I mean, that's the sign of a talented writer. Even though I hated the characters the whole way through it, even though I thought that he was going to go somewhere I didn't want the book to go, he still kept me interested. So that one was called How to Successfully Kidnap Strangers, and I will link to my review down below. So in summary, what I read in September, my wrap-up is Revival by Stephen King, Allumette by Tomi Ungerer, Mapping the Interior, and How to Successfully Kidnap Strangers. Alrighty, thanks for stopping by.